Hello and welcome to PadreCast with Daren and Littleboy. I'm Littleboy.
I'm Daren.
And first of all, I want to thank you for joining us. I'll let you know we stream live at a time to be determined. It always seems like it's changing. We were going every Friday, but last Friday we were out on assignment for reals. You know, you'll be talking about that on your Pound for Pound show.
I will.
But we were at a local MMA fight, so tune in for that, and he'll be talking about that. I want to first tell you to go to Pro Sports Memorabilia. Go to our website, pfpsports.com. Click on the Pro Sports Memorabilia.
PMLBsports.com.
Did I say PFP Sports?
You can
I'm stuck.
You
on
can plug
one.
that if you want to.
Thank you. PMLBsports.com. Click on Pro Sports Memorabilia. Buy something. We'll get a little bit of money for it. You can tweet into the show. We'll be following your tweets. I'll be following your tweets. Daren ignores them. You can tweet me directly at LBHost. You can tweet Daren directly at
Daren PFP Sports, where I will ghost it.
Well, he will ghost it. That is what he does best. You can also call in 619-387-3457, and we'll take your calls direct. All right. After all that's out of the way, welcome back. It has been a little while.
It has.
Record so far this season, Padres are 16-28. Certainly nothing to write home about. Last 10 games, they're 4-6. Nothing to write home about again, but they're out of the cellar. How did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you how it happened. The Rockies are terrible.
Yeah.
That's how it happened. I mean, I don't really think it's anything the Padres have done good other than the Rockies just start playing really, really bad baseball right now.
You know, it's funny because the Padres have won 2 games in a row multiple times this year, and every time they win 2 games, I think this is it. This is, you know, we're not like I'm getting ready to get in line for the playoffs, but I'm, you know, you're a fan, you understand. I'm like, we have got it together. We're going to finally get that elusive 3rd victory in a row, maybe go on a little bit of streak, and just, you know, I mean, just get out of the cellar, you know. I mean, it's the beginning of the year. We have all these expectations of maybe we're going to surprise people, and now I just want to not be in last place anymore. You know, maybe put together a 5-game win streak, something that we can look forward to. It's just such a bummer.
I completely get it. I'm the same way. That's why I can never do a show like this about my own team, because I can't be realistic when it comes to my own teams. You know, 16-28, I'm thinking, oh, well, all I need to do is win 12 in a row. You know, that's it. You know, they could do that. It's easy. That's just 2 weeks, you know. And but yeah, not looking good. We're gonna move on. We do take direct tweets, like I said, live, and I do watch for them. But I got a couple Twitter questions before, some comments before the show that I went ahead and printed out. The first one was from Truth from Section D, or CT2SD, and he said, how about Cody Decker? He's killing it in the minors and just got promoted to Tucson. We could really use his bat, but where does he fit in? Now, I looked up some Cody Decker stuff, if I can find it in here. The problem that I have, first of all, is he plays first base. And Yonder Alonso, who started out really slow for the Padres, has really, really picked it up lately. And he plays first base. Now, let's look at some stats from Decker. 42 games, he has a .286 average. You know, that's certainly respectable. The thing that I really like is he got 14 bombs. Now, those are minor league bombs, but a home run is a home run. You're still hitting the ball. And that's in Double-A, which, you know, we've talked about this in the past. It almost seems like you almost have your better players at Double-A. You sometimes face a little bit better pitching in Double-A than you do in Triple-A. Not always. Better. It's more the prospects, the younger prospects play Double-A. But, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, he's got 14 bombs. Now, he's not the answer. You're not going to bring him up and expect him to hit, 30 home runs for the team. I mean, you're going to have Padre fans that expect that. That's what happens. But should they bring him up? And if they did, what would they do? Would they try and, I mean, Alonso finally looks like he's got it going. The last thing you want to do is throw him in left field, right?
Yonder Alonso is not going anywhere. You know,
yeah.
I think they're looking at him as the first baseman of the future. I don't know if they've been playing Cody Decker in the outfield. Yonder Alonso got a couple games in left field for the Reds last year because Joey Votto's their first baseman. But, I mean, that didn't work out very well. He's just not a very good outfielder.
Right.
So, especially in Petco Park where, you can't be having every single turned into a double. I don't think they should call him up. I think they should wait to see how he does in AAA.
Yeah.
I think they just called him up within the last couple of days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think he has any AAA at bats yet.
So I think it's a little early. Besides, what's the point? What's the point? It's not like they're battling for a division and, Alonso went down with an injury. There's really no point in bringing him up now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get that. And we'll talk about some more of that in the news section because I had actually a interesting question for you on that. Also, Josh, SD Fan 2378, he sent me quite a few things. First of all, it wasn't really a question. He just wanted to make sure everybody knew that Anthony Bass leads the Padres in all pitching categories, and you know we do know that he has quite a love affair going on with Anthony Bass right now.
Yep.
Anthony Bass has actually pitched outstanding this year, and I know when people use the word outstanding, you get upset. You know, when I think that's a little bit of the Louis C.K. in you.
Okay.
But if you look, he has 8 starts. He had the last start actually the same day that Josh and I did the show. When Josh was gushing about him, he gave up 5 runs in the first inning. Ended up giving up 6 runs that game. Had another start where he gave up 3 runs, and every other start has been 2 or fewer runs, which is, I would say, that's outstanding. You're not going to shut him down every game. That is one game where he's had some problems. I mean, what more could you ask for from that guy?
Yeah, not much. No, he's got great stuff. I enjoy watching him pitch, too. You know, whether or not I'm ready to build my team around him for the future, that I don't know. But,
right.
You know, he's definitely pitching some bad luck. You talk about all those numbers, and, you know, he's got 1 or 2 wins.
2 and 4.
2 and 4. Yeah,
2 and 4. ERA 2.89. It's disgusting. It's you know, I keep saying the Padres are pitching pretty good, and it is being wasted.
Yeah.
You know, it is just it sickens me, and I feel bad for some of these pitchers out there. They are really going out there and doing their job. And, and it's not like the hitters aren't trying or anything.
But props to him though. He got his chance and he's running with it. You know, he's obviously he wants to be a part of this rotation for years to come, and he's certainly not hurting that possibility.
Yes, that is for sure. Another thing that he wanted to bring up was Tony Gwynn. We'll actually talk about that later on. And Suppan is facing the Cardinals. That's actually happening right now. I believe last time I checked the score was 3-3. Suppan started good. He's still pitching. He's still pitching like about a number 5 starter. A couple really good starts. A couple. His last start was a little bit shaky. This one he's given up 3 runs so far. But Suppan, I'm very happy with what they got from him. I don't think the expectations were very high at all.
No.
So I think everything you get from that guy is gravy. So thanks both to both of you for tweeting in, and we look forward to answering any more or including anything else that you have to say into the show. Some news. Houston Street started playing catch in the outfield, reported no discomfort. It's funny, he was really pitching really good, like a lot of our pitchers. He went out. Dale Thayer's come in, and he has just pitched lights out. He's 5 for 5 in save opportunities. He's given up 0 earned runs. Had a couple interesting saves, where he made it interesting, but he hasn't given up any earned runs. Of all the people to come back, as good as Houston Street was pitching right now, it's like, I could pick some other positions maybe we could use more than a closer.
Yeah, the best part about Houston Street coming back, you hope he comes back healthy, maybe gets 3 or 4 saves, and you could trade him for somebody, really. I think that's where you're pretty much at this point in the season.
Or if they're going to keep him, maybe Dale Thayer has raised his,
Oh, yeah. That's one thing the Padres have always had is just this solid 7, 8, 9 guy, and it looks like Thayer's going to just fit right into that mix.
Right. He's taken over. Well, I'm going to jump over to, we'll talk about Cashner later. Or maybe we can talk about Cashner now. What's the deal with him? I know you were a fan. He's a former Cub, throws the ball really hard, but just so wildly inconsistent. And they kind of brought him in here thinking he might become a starter for a while. They brought him in he was going to be the 8th inning guy. The Padres had a lot of luck with an 8th inning guy, maybe a 7th inning guy, but he is just so wildly inconsistent. It just, I don't know. It's very, very frustrating.
It reminds me of it, like his first couple years in the bigs. Mainly his first year, they called him up the same way. You look at this young arm throwing 100 miles an hour, and you're like, oh man, look at that. The problem is when you're constantly throwing that 100 miles an hour to a 2-0 or a 3-1 count. Big league hitters are going to hit it.
They are.
And he had an injury-shortened season last year, but he got off to a great start. He had one, phenomenal start. They actually put him in the rotation, and then he got hurt. And he came back and, pitched pretty well out of the bullpen. So, I don't want to say it's almost like he's starting over, but it kind of seems like he's almost starting over a little bit.
Yeah.
So who knows?
I really have. When they got him, I was really hoping they'd make him into a starter. That's what I was kind of hoping.
It just really it's really hard to give up on a guy that throws the ball 100 miles an hour.
Really, you're right.
So,
that's a good point.
I wouldn't be one of the Padres to get rid of him quite yet, but at the same time, I can understand being a little frustrated. You give up your best prospect for him.
Yeah. Chase Headley is having some lower back issue. He's been missing some games. I put on here a question for you. Is that affecting his production? Obviously it has to be.
Yeah.
He started out the season. He had some clutch situations, and he kind of blew it a little bit. Then he got super hot, hit those 4 bombs in a row, and we were thinking, oh my gosh, maybe he's going to hit 20 bombs this year. He has only 5, so he's only hit 1 more since then. His average is back in the low 200s again. I know that you're not a very big Chase Headley fan, anyways. What do you think's going on? Do you think it's his lower back, or do you think
it could be his lower back? You know what? Maybe it's also the way of the Padres take a little pressure off of him. Maybe he's putting too much pressure on himself, but the Padres need this guy to start heating up because they need to trade him too. It's time to move on with him. They do. They need to it's time to move on. He's been a key part of this team for how many years now? Has it been 5 years?
Yeah.
And it's just, you know what you're going to get. Even at his best, he's just not a very good 3-4. He's not a very good hitter in my opinion.
They got him hitting in the 3rd spot because there's nobody else.
He's great on base guy. Your 3 hitter needs to be the best hitter on your team, and I can't. Maybe he is the best hitter on that team. I don't know, but that's why your offense is struggling. So I don't know. To me, I think he'd be a good trade candidate, but who knows? What do I know?
You just do a weekly Padres show.
Yeah.
Corey Lupke told reporters Monday he is going to have the reconstructive surgery on his left elbow. I'm happy that he made that decision. I'm, of course, devastated that he got hurt. Happy he made the decision. What would have happened if he had rehabbed it, come back next year, and tore it and had to have the surgery then? He's going to lose 2 years. He's going to lose the rest of this year and probably almost all of next year.
Best case scenario, he comes back after the All-Star break next season. Is able to give you 4 or 5 starts or whatever. But it's really bad, man. Really, he's throwing the ball so well.
And speaking of pitchers to build your team around, that was the pitcher that you wanted to build the Padres around.
Yeah.
You were all over that guy.
Yeah, and he's I had all kind. I put all my eggs in the Lupke basket. I thought he was going to make the All-Star team this year, and he was throwing the ball really well until he got hurt. So it's just too bad. At least it happened young enough. He's young enough. Now you look at a guy like Strasburg who went through it.
Yeah.
He's still young and still effective. So
except when he pitched against the Padres, we closed him. We got him out of there.
We had icy hot on his balls. It's kind of hard to throw the ball when you got icy hot all over your balls. So.
That's true. Tony Gwynn announced on Monday he's going to partner with Thomas Tull in an effort to purchase the club. Tull is the chairman and CEO of Legendary Pictures. Now, I actually like this. Who knows how much Tony Gwynn? I'm sure he's more going to be a face than anything, which I think is actually great. I think you want to bring, like Magic Johnson up there with the Dodgers. You want to bring. I think Tony Gwynn being involved with the ownership group is outstanding. What do you think about that?
You know what, Tony Gwynn, whoever it's going to be. Name it. Donald Trump, Hugh Hefner. Who cares? As long as they put the money into the team. It doesn't matter who the face of the team is. As long as they do the right things with the team and don't just look at it, as a cash grab, then
exactly.
Who cares who it is?
Exactly. I agree with that. You can't buy the Padres because you want to turn a gigantic profit. No. Nobody is expecting you to come and hemorrhage money into the team, but we don't want you to come and retire off of it either. Maybe make it a little bit over break even and put a team out there that we can be proud of.
You know what they should do? They should put they should give Mark Cuban about 5% off if he wants to buy this team, because a guy like him, look what he's done to a team like the Mavericks.
I think they should just give the team to Mark Cuban. Let him come rolling in here.
What do we care? It's not our money. Give it to him.
That's my vote. Give it to Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban was in on the whole Cub proposal a few years back, and I was all for it.
I remember that.
Look what the guy's done for the Mavericks, and
yes.
You want a guy that's going to be passionate about the team.
He wants to win.
Not just some suit sitting in the press box that doesn't even know what's going on.
You're counting beans.
Yeah.
Padres released Orlando Hudson. You've been roller coaster with this guy. You've been on him. You've been off of him. On him. Off of him. They ate the remaining part of his contract. He had signed a 2-year, $11.5 million contract, pretty large contract. So that's a lot of money that they're eating. He was hitting .211. He got signed by the White Sox to play third base. He's going to be playing third base for the White Sox. He actually got a pinch hit last night for him. What do you think about this move? Are you a big fan of releasing guys and eating the that's money you're paying somebody to play somewhere else.
It's a scapegoat, in my opinion. Granted, you're getting the same production out of, Perinos of the world and what have you, but the fact that you're eating all that money, I don't know. I don't know. Orlando Hudson wasn't the problem. I mean, Orlando Hudson was just expected to be much better than he is.
Well, let's get into this now, because this is what I've been kind of waiting to talk about. If your guy's hitting 211, now we talk about Perino, and Perino's hitting about that too.
Yeah.
You got other guys, but what's the point? Why not have a younger guy? If you're going to get the same production, why not have a younger guy and get him the experience? Why would you? I didn't have a problem with. I would have much rather they traded him, of course. I mean, eating that much money, that's just money that they can't spend on somebody else.
I'm pretty sure they tried pretty hard trading him.
My guess is they did too. But I would rather, if you're going to have a guy making $5 million a year hitting 211, why not bring somebody up from the farm system and give him a shot for 211?
Yeah.
You could go hit 211, D.
I can't argue that. 210 maybe, 211, I'm not sure. But I can't argue with you there. But the problem is it's not just Orlando Hudson. You got all these people who are just hating on Jason Bartlett and Orlando Hudson.
Yeah.
Your prized possession, Cameron Maybin, is hitting 200.
Well, we're going to save that.
The entire team is hitting 200.
Yes.
Chase Headley's garbage. So you need some sort of scapegoat. You need some sort of fallout. Let's blame it on Orlando Hudson. We'll do that. Let's get rid of him.
Well, I think that it was. I don't know how much Jason Bartlett has left on his contract. I know they immediately put him on the DL because they wanted to bring a couple guys up, but I don't have a problem if you're not producing, get somebody else from the minor leagues to come up and not produce as well. At least he can get the experience, and maybe you can almost start looking towards the future.
If you're trying to build the future around these minor league guys, is that really the way to go about it? Is crushing their confidence for a year? Like, okay, you got your 300 bats in the big leagues, but you hit 170. I mean, that.
Well, maybe.
I don't know.
I'm not saying give them 300 at bats at 170. I say give them a while, and if they are, if they're not hitting. Send them back down, but at least get them up here and get them a shot. I don't know. Carlos Quentin, is he still alive?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I mean, he's hurt. Okay, how disappointing. And when they first signed him, this was my biggest fear, was we were going to have injury issues with him. And did they try and rush him back maybe? Because they're talking about, he's going to be here for the Philadelphia series, which is way in our rearview mirror now. And he's not even playing in the minors. He's been sitting out. He's sat out like 5 games in a row with knee problems.
He keeps on having setbacks. And
how disappointing. And
another guy the Padres need to get on the field, if that nothing else, trade him. He's got no trade value right now. Sitting back in Arizona.
There's no. I'm sure there's nobody more disappointed than him. I'm sure he's just. I'm sure it's just ruined.
No, he needed to put together a healthy season too. I mean, the rumors of him always getting injured have been following him around for the last couple of years.
Right.
So I'm sure he wanted to have a season where he played 130 plus games.
And what's bad for him is the fact that when he got the knee injury, they kind of talked about like it's not that big of a deal, just a little, and then it almost makes it look like he's a slow healer too.
Yeah.
Whether he is or not. I know we've been talking about problem spots in the news, but the next section we're going to go to problem spots. I keep harping on this. Padres right now are 3rd in the league in strikeouts and dead last in home runs. 44 games played this year. Now I think Will Venable hit a home run today, so but we're not going to count that. 44 games played this year, 16 home runs. 3rd in the league of strikeouts. We see what the problem is, right? Is this they change? It seems like they change hitting coaches about every year or two.
But how is this a surprise to anybody? Who on this team is going to?
It's the strikeouts that I just don't get. If you're not hitting bombs, how are you striking out so much?
It's not as simple as this guy strikes out a lot, he hits a lot of home runs.
It is for me.
It doesn't work like that. This is a game of baseball, but the problem is the lineup sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't understand what people are expecting. You got a heart of the order of Chase Headley, Yonder Alonso and Guzman some days. Who knows? That's not a good heart of the order. They're not going to hit a lot of home runs. I don't know what people are expecting.
I don't have
You're
the
right.
problem
Move the
with
fences in, everything will be fixed.
I am not a move the fences in guy. We've talked about that before. The 16 home runs is a bummer. Doesn't bother me as much as the 3rd in the league of strikeouts. That's what's killing me. If you're going to be dead last in the league in home runs, then you better be dead last in strikeouts.
The two don't go hand in hand, in my opinion. You got your bomber guys, Adam Dunn and stuff like that strike out a lot and hit a lot of home runs. But I mean, you can't compare the two team wide and compare the two.
I don't know. It's like a sickness. Once you come to the Padres, you start striking out. That's just the way it goes. They're second in the league in errors right now. Defense was going to be one of their stronger points, and the guys who are used to playing good defense, Cameron Maben, we'll talk about him later. I mean, he's dropping pop flies. I've seen more pop flies dropped by the Padres this year than I think I ever have. I just don't get it. The defense has just been terrible, and that's got to be frustrating for the pitchers, and we can talk about that next. Actually, let's get right into that. Edinson Volquez, he's been one of the bright spots on the Padres. The last game, he showed a little bit of frustration on the mound when a play wasn't made. The guy scored. We've talked about this before, how you shouldn't be showing up your teammates.
Not on the field like that. Absolutely not.
How can you not be frustrated when you're pitching as well as he is, and he really is pitching well, and once you give up a run or two, you think this game's over. I don't have a shot. You brought that up before. That's got to be frustrating.
It's a tough way to pitch, but at the same time, you're making a living playing baseball. I mean, you should know. It gets worse than that. It gets worse than your team not being able to score runs for you. I understand the frustration, but it's just not the way to show it. And I've noticed on here you kind of comparing him to Carlos Zambrano.
Well, I'm comparing him to Carlos Zambrano. I'm not comparing him to him. I'm asking because Zambrano is kind of known for showing his frustration with teammates. The difference is Zambrano shows his frustration from teammates after he goes out and gives up 5 runs in an inning.
Yeah, he hardly ever showed frustration. A guy boots a ball. Rarely did he throw a little tantrum. It was mostly when he was getting raked or something like that. But I mean, listen, I understand. It's such a fine line between do you like the fiery competitor, or do you like a guy that just goes about his business.
No,
it's
I agree.
Such a fine line.
It is a fine line too, because you want the fire, but you don't want the fire to kind of be put on his own teammates. You don't want him to. I didn't blame him. I didn't blame Volquez for showing a little bit of frustration, because I got to think it's got to be tough not to, and I think it's just a frustration with the whole team.
It's such a double-edged sword. There's some guys in the league that are notorious for it, and it just goes unnoticed. I mean, I see Cole Hamels give up a home run, or Cole Hamels, somebody will boot a ball, and he starts whining on the mound like a girl.
Like every soccer goalie out there when somebody scores a goal.
It's like always someone else's fault, like your boy Matt Latos. He's notorious for that stuff.
Who's been pitching better, by the way.
He sucks. Like Latos is a tomato can. Anyway, but... so I mean, it's a fine line. You know what? If he was 5-1, maybe he'd get away with a little tantrum like that, but he's not. And he hasn't had dominating starts. He's pitched well, but
if you look at his earned runs, he only has 2 starts this year where he's given up more than 3 earned runs in a start. That's not bad.
But you can't just look at earned runs.
I know. He's got a lot of walks. You can't just look at record either, because he's 2-4, and he's deserved to win more than 2 games.
Yeah.
Right now, the Padres as a team are 8th in the league in ERA, and like I said before, pitching is being wasted. It's just being wasted. Yonder Alonso, another bright spot. 6th in the league in doubles for a team that's not hitting. He's hitting .301. He's got his average up over to 300, and his defense actually seems to be improving. He seems to be playing a lot better. I don't know if it was he had the yips at the beginning of the year or what was going on, but he really seems to have brought it all together. And nobody thought he was going to hit home runs. He's not a home run guy. He hit his first home run a little while ago. But he's hitting the doubles. He's hitting the gaps. He's hitting for average, and that's kind of what we were hoping for.
Well, we don't know if he's going to be a home run hitter yet. I mean,
we weren't expecting it. We weren't expecting it this year.
I mean, listen, most guys with his experience are still, struggling through the minor league baseball. So,
right. So
he's kind of learning on the fly, and I think he's a phenomenal hitter. I love the way his opposite field approach. I think he's a great hitter.
I'm really happy with him, and I was a little bit down on him at the beginning of the year. Usually have a question for you. The question was that we had kind of asked it earlier. Is it should they be bringing up young guys? Then we had talked about that before, so I'm not going to get back into that again. Let's going to move on. You actually suggested or you requested some time. You had a little bit of a rant. You wanted to talk about Cameron Maben.
It's not a rant as so much as to where I see guys like Orlando Hudson, Chase Headley, Nick Hundley. Those guys are kind of all taking the fall for this team struggling. But yeah, you got one of your cornerstone, the face of the franchise. We signed this guy to a 5-year extension or something like that. Right. To be the face of this franchise, he's hitting 200. Okay, and he's just looked absolutely awful at the plate. He's striking out a lot. He gets his walks, so his on-base percentage is okay. But I just don't understand where, it's okay for a guy like Cameron Maben to boot balls in center field, to strike out looking, come up with, no clutch hits. That's okay. Guy like Orlando Hudson does it. Ship him out of town. Guy like Jason Bartlett does it. Everybody hop on Twitter and talk about how bad you hate him. At what point, I'm going to ask you a serious question now, at what point do they consider moving him down to AAA for a little bit?
That's a good point, because they actually
what's
did
he
that
doing
with
for this team right now? This team is not going to the playoffs. What is he doing for them now, besides just killing his confidence?
I don't actually have a problem with them. They did that with Will Venable last year.
Yes.
Will Venable actually is playing really good. Well, he's playing really good, especially in comparison to the other players. He's playing solid. He's
being okay. Nobody on this team is playing really good.
Right.
Let's be honest here.
Alonso is.
He's not playing really good. I mean, he's on a hot stretch, but if we look at his season as a whole, nobody on this team is playing really good. So I don't get why people make exceptions for guys like Chase Headley and now Cameron Maben, but don't for certain guys. I don't care how much money. Throw the money out the window. None of you guys are paying that money. Nobody.
The excuses for Chase Headley are slowly starting to go away, and I think the thing is, it's an age thing. The older guys, if you're not producing and you're older, there's nothing to look forward to. And that's why they let go of Orlando Hudson, because
he's not. We're talking about these guys like they're 45 years old.
Orlando Hudson is on the downside of his career, yes?
No doubt.
Okay.
But you knew that when you signed him.
Exactly. And if he's not producing, move him on. Whereas someone like Cameron Maben, at least they say we still have future with him. He still has
of course, and I think he's a great young talent, but at some point, it's got to crush his confidence knowing that he's on a 2 for 50 stretch.
Right.
Why not send him down to AAA?
I don't have a problem sending him down to AAA. I don't have a problem with that. But somebody like Orlando Hudson, you can't do that with. You can't, because he's got too many years in the league.
I would just like to have one of these Yahoo experts that I hear on the radio mention that. Now, am I saying that I think they should move him down? I don't know. I don't know if that's the right answer or not.
Right.
But you never hear that even mentioned, and I just don't understand.
I'm actually surprised they haven't mentioned it either, because, like I said, they did it with Will Venable last year. I was surprised that they did it, but there comes a point where maybe you got to go down there and get your swing worked out.
Just at least get your confidence back.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Moving on, Players of the Week. This was tough. They haven't played really good recently. I've been talking about him all day long. Yonder Alonso. He hit 333 this week, and his overall average is is up over 300 now. Only player on the team with an average over 300. Who do you got for your Player of the Week?
Player of the Week is Clayton Richard. 2 starts, 2 quality starts. One of them could have easily won the other one. Clayton Richard. My
favorite pitcher on the Padres, by the way. He's a little bit of a yo-yo this year, where he'll have a rough start, and then when he's got it going, he is a good pitcher. He's a good athlete too.
Yeah.
Scored the winning run after getting a pinch hit in our extra inning games in one of our wins this week. That's going to wrap it up for this week. I want to thank everybody for joining, all the people that were watching live. Once again, we do stream every week, Wednesday or Friday. We're not sure yet. We keep moving around. We're sorry. I think we'll get more people watching if we get more consistent, but we have a lot of things going on right now. You can reach me. I'm at LBHost on Twitter, and you can email me at littleboy@fatmanandlittleboy.com. And where can we reach you, D?
I'm on Twitter at Daren PFP Sports. And yeah.
And make sure you go to PMLBsports.com, click on Pro Sports Memorabilia, and buy something. Until we see you next time, take care.